JT Walsh.
JT Walsh. This is an abbrev heavy episode. I was hanging out with BD, DB, and JT for decades. We met, me and JT Walsh. My last name is Walsh.
And so this was a big part of the question and what made it so interesting for me to ask.
Sure. I'm doing a made-for-TV movie with Candy Bergen and Ken Griffey Jr. It's Candy driving Ken Griffey around town.
Sort of an inverse Daisy.
That's what it was pitched as. Ken hated white people, both in real life and in the script. And Candy sort of helps him learn to love and appreciate whites. It was a flip. It was after Driving Miss Daisy. Everybody's like, give us some more of this racist stuff. Now, the Dan Aykroyd role in Driving Miss Daisy, in our version, was played by JT Walsh. This is a pre-Sling Blade, pre-breakdown JT.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Yeah. So they said, who can you get? And at the time, I'm a hotshot screenwriter. I got this really exciting piece of racist writing that I've been working on. And I said, look, it's really Brandon Walsh, who's fictional. It's Brenda Walsh, who's fictional. And then JT Walsh, who's a real actor. These are the people that I knew they were in my family, So I'm at the reunion. I walk over to JT. I go, Jates, will you play the son of Candy Bergen? And he goes, I've done it. Can I play the daughter of Candy Bergen? Now, JT was quite mad at this point. He had lost his mind.
Sure.
People don't know that about him. He came in for the role completely dressed as a woman. It was not convincing. He didn't even do a voice. He kept his same sort of gravelly thing.
That's not the equivalent of the Dan Aykroyd role.
It wasn't at all. At this point, things started.
Because you said Dan Aykroyd role, but that should then been Ken Griffey Jr.'s son, Ken Griffey III.
Or daughter.
What Dan Aykroyd was Tandy's. Now,
you could tell from which color the person, and this is not supposed to be mean.
No.
But you can tell from which color when you're looking.
Yeah, is that okay?
Am I allowed to say that? Because apparently a lot of stuff has been offensive today.
All these new rules.
This explains why the AD kept saying, I don't think they're going to buy JT as Ken Griffey Jr.'s son, let alone daughter.
Yes.
JT and I, we hit up along John Silver's. I say, JT, it ain't working out, baby. It ain't working out. You always soften a blow like that in Hollywood with some hush puppies. And I thought I was done with Hollywood. When the suits came down to set and saw what I was doing here, Ken Griffey Jr. and Candy Bergen in kind of a bad car set. The car wasn't even convincing. We had a canoe that they put headlights on, and there were two guys kind of rocking it back and forth, but not even in a convincing manner. Like they would rock it all the way to the left, all the way to the right.
In the reverse direction of the way the steering wheel is going, is my understanding.
Well, Candy couldn't get that down. I said, Candy, you got to steer with some just like you're driving a car.
She does inverted controllers on
Candy
Xbox
looks at me,
stuff.
she goes, A, I've never driven a car. I said, well, you could have probably told me that in the audition. She goes, B, my right is my left is my right. I said, okay, I wish we'd gone with Delta Burke because Delta was very
She's
interested.
got that, and she has that down.
The issue with Delta Burke at the time was she was married to Gerald McRaney, and he and I had never gotten along.
Yeah.
We had a falling out on the set of Major Dad where I said, look, I think they should call this show Major Asshole because of the way you're dealing with the people on staff.
That feels like bait.
Yeah.
No, I knew what I was getting into. I knew what I was getting into.
It's because the way the story started, I sort of felt like the breakdown was a result of some sort of misunderstanding or something. But you're taking it right to him. I mean,
I made it pretty clear.
You're mid-misunderstanding at that point. You were saying it was as a result of you saying that.
I made it pretty clear.
It seems like something happened before that.
Already precipitated.
That doesn't feel like the beginning of the story.
I also, I'll save this for the autobiography. I was madly in love with Delta Burke at this point.
Yes, that.
I've always loved a full-figured gal. Southern to boot, sign me up. And Gerald knew that, and Gerald felt threatened by me. You know, I was 14 years old at the time. He knew I had a TV movie going with KGJ, Candy Bergen, a canoe car set, JT Walsh in drag playing Ken Griffey's daughter. I was kind of the toast of the town at that point.
And a bod that refused to quit.
A rod?
Well, Pat.
I thought you said a rod that refused to quit.
I said bod.
This again.
Oh, a bod that refused to quit.
Now, is the rod part of the bod? Yes. Did it also refuse to quit?
To me, the rod is the bod.
Having seen the show when it did go up, your
the TV movie,
driving, Mr. Kenny show,
driving Mr. Griffey.
Yes, sorry. What the mocap suit that Candy Bergen is wearing, was that supposed to become like a limo driver's
Great
uniform?
question. I had the same.
Were you hoping to use some kind of effect to turn that into something else?
Okay. When we brought in the suit, it was a mohair suit. And Candy goes, again, this is an issue. I'm highly allergic to mohair. I lean over to the AD. I go, you know who isn't? Fucking Delta Burke, who I had in my hand and turned away at the last minute. So I said, well, look, we'll do it in this mocap. We put her with the, the ping pong balls and everything. And then we ran out of money. So when the movie hit the air, as you saw it on CBS, right after 60 Minutes in 1986, she was just wearing the motion capture suit. And we never explained it. There was a lot of questions. We didn't have the money to fill in the suit.
Well, a lot of people are touching it. It's like acting like it's fine mohair. Smelling it very deeply.
Ken Griffey tucks himself into it and falls asleep. Which finally made the sleep mask he had on make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of the film, I'm going, how does he even have license to be racist towards this woman? He can't possibly see her through the sleep mask. And what was the story with that?
Oh, boy. The issue there, Ken Griffey Jr. had a pretty advanced case of macular degeneration. Couldn't see a thing. So I'm like, Ken, how are you hitting these grand slams at the ballpark? Then you come in here and you're blind as a bat. I never got an answer to that, frankly. I think maybe
sonar.
He was messing with it. Could have been sonar.
Bad thing.
So he insisted on wearing the sleep mask. Again, we thought we would sort of CGI that out. And no one told me at the time that CGI wasn't even invented.
No, yeah.
I go up to ILM. I go, hey, can you take the sleep mask off? Can you also take the mocap suit off Candy Bergen? Because I got this thing premiering in 2 weeks. And he says, look, I'm deep in post-pro on Howard the Duck. I'm talking about George Lucas.
Yes.
And we don't really have time for a CBS made-for-TV movie. I said, okay. Believe you me, there were a lot of questions about this. I mean, every scene of the movie was baffling.
People have a lot of theories.
What you mentioned about a lot of people commenting on the fine texture of the mohair suit, I mean, I wrote a lot of mohair material, beautiful mohair material. And
oh, yes, poetic, monologues about mohair
It's
for
sort
pages
of
and
the
pages of the film.
Climactic speech.
right.
Of the
And
movie.
when Ken Griffey collapses in Candy Bergen's arms at the end of the movie and says, like, I love you and I love your sweet, sweet mohair suit as the final line of the movie. The fact that it wasn't mohair, did that hurt us come Emmy time? Yeah, I think probably it did.
And that was the final line of the movie, but that line was also said at 7 or 8 different points in the movie. So it's something of a callback at that point.
Yeah. And calling it, mohair, just simply mohair is what I called the film. Again, the heads of CBS at that time were like, look, Pat, we got JT, we got Candy, we got Ken Griffey Jr. You can't call this thing mohair. Call it ping pong ball suit. Have the last line be, I love the sweet feel of ping pong balls against my
ADR
skin.
and some ping pong ball dio.
I said it's all going to work out. And it didn't. And it honestly, it blacklisted me for about 6 years.
Oh, yeah, it was. You were almost 20 before.
I was
You
nearly
then-
20.
Yeah.
got back into the game in a big way and made a big old splash.
I thought it was purgatory. That was what my theory, that these characters were in purgatory. And that sort of explained some of the weird details.
For decades now, I will not answer any questions, but I want people to kind of take it. Every movie is sort of what it means to you.
Another theory I had is that you maybe thought mocap was short for mohair capture.
It was. At that time, it was.
I thought that they were inside a witch's crystal ball. Mm-hmm. And that she was sort of manipulated, and that's why the canoe's turning the opposite way and all these things. And I kept waiting for us to sort of pan out.
There is a cackle, sort of an echoing cackle.
Yes, through
laid over
off
some
camera.
Of the scenes.
At that time, J.T. Walsh, and again, if anyone had made me aware of this, would have been very appreciative. J.T. Walsh had a real problem with just uncontrollable cackling and ruined many takes.
Yeah.
So now, again, I'm like, well, we'll fix it in post. We'll take those cackles out. Look, I'll say it again. I ran out of money. I ran out of time. I wasn't ready at that point to direct this movie.
At 14.
But, it's found its following, and, I think the people at Hallmark Hall of Fame liked the box office that it did, the home box office. Mm-hmm.